Supersonic final bosses are almost always the biggest, most epic moment in any Sonic game. The big climax of the story and an awesome super transformation make the scene really awesome. But one more thing that's almost more important than any of it is the music that accompanies it. The Sonic series has some of the best music in gaming, and the Supersonic songs are no exception to that, mostly. So today I wanted to rank the songs from the 3D mainline games from worst to best. The rules are simple. We'll only be ranking the songs from the 3D mainline games because of the inherent larger, grander scale. This is also just Supersonic songs, so no Excalibur and no Darkspine. And lastly, we're looking at the songs that play for the final boss and have something to do with the story of the game. So Lost World, Colors, and excuse me, Forces, which only have Supersonic as an unlockable feature, won't count. So without further ado, let's look at the worst Supersonic song. Just like in my ranking transformation scene video, Generations is the worst Supersonic song. In fact, whereas all the other songs in the list are good, they're just ranked from worst to best, this one is the only one that I would consider actually bad. This is one of the dumbest, most boring Supersonic fights in the whole series, so it only fits that it has one of the dumbest, most boring songs. It's not really even its own thing, it's just the Time Eater's theme jazzed up a bit. The same song you hear every time the Time Eater swoops in during the story. But then, right before you deliver the final blow, a familiar sound plays. Could it be? That's right, it's a remix of the theme to Sonic 4 Episode 1. So yeah, not much to say about the Supersonic song from Sonic Generations. It's just the Time Eater's theme with a bait and switch right at the end. And that's why it gets the worst spot. Now hear me out, just like I said in the previous section, that was the only one on the list that I actually dislike. I like every other song on this list. That being said though, I'm Here comes in at number 6. I know there are multiple songs that play while Sonic is Supersonic, but I'm Here plays during the final boss and is the main theme of the game, so that's the one we're judging on. While I admit the music style in Frontiers isn't one of my favorites, I do still like it a lot. And on top of that, I'm Here is actually my favorite song in the game. It starts slow and mystical, but then ramps up into some crazy riffs and really great vocals. It definitely fits the tone of the game, and when the pace picks up, it's great during a boss fight. Having said all that, the reason it's high on the list, to me it just feels a little off of the kind of music I think of when I think of Sonic, but it's definitely not bad. I really like it, like I said. And who's to say my opinion won't change over time? Seeing as Sonic music is almost always awesome, even if the game is
nice ass.
His World was one of the best things to come out of Sonic 06, and with His World being the theme of the game, there's a version of it that plays during the second phase of the Solaris fight, which is why it's not called His World, it's called Solaris Phase 2. The mixture of orchestra and rock make this song slap. The first time I finally got to play the final boss myself, once that song started, I had goosebumps from then until the end. With this song being another one that's also the theme of the game, you hear it every time you boot up the game and in different menus. So it almost feels like an overarching theme that's finally concluding in an epic way at the end. One thing I will add, I think the song sounds better without vocals, so I think the final boss version sounds the best. No offense to whoever sings the song, I know it's somebody famous, but I listen to mostly old music, so I don't really know. So while the game is kinda ass, His World is anything but. Endless Possibilities is one of my favorite Sonic songs in general, so when you get an incredibly intensified, epic, orchestral rock version of it during the last phase of the final fight with Dark Gaia, it hits hard every time. Where the regular version of the song is uplifting with fun energy, making you feel like you want to go and run around the world. I'm not actually gonna. The final boss version of the song gets you fired up and makes you feel like you could take on Dark Gaia yourself. I'm not doing that either. I could, he's just not real. And with this version not having vocals, it goes well with Sonic and Chip coordinating and talking to each other during the final fight. This is another Supersonic song that will have you on the edge of your seat every time. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about Crush 40 from here on out. This was the first Supersonic song that Crush 40 blessed us with, and it is a certified banger. This song is all rock. Amazing riffs on guitar by Jun Tsunoe, and amazing vocals from Johnny Gioli? I've never heard his name said. Johnny was the perfect sound for Sonic in the Adventure era. This was also a song that not only was the final boss music, but was also the theme of the game itself. You would hear a partial version of it in the opening cinematic every time you booted up the game, and an instrumental loop in the menus. But at the end of the game, when you finally get to fight that monster you saw in that opening cinematic, and the full version starts blasting, that gets the blood pumping. And then you get to the second phase where it switches to something just generic. Why'd they do that? Either way, Open Your Heart is a certified classic. This was a really tough call, especially for me. Live and Learn is one of the most iconic Sonic songs, and I'm talking up there with Green Hill Zone, coming from one of the most iconic games in the series, Sonic Adventure 2. That unmistakable opening, its intense vocal performance, and incredible work on all instruments, it is a masterpiece. It's also one more song that serves as the main theme of the game as well as the final boss music. Casual Sonic fans, or just gamers in general, will most likely know this song. Obviously not everybody, but a lot. They even put it in Sonic Movie 3.
You can't fix it on your own.
Since it was based on Sonic Adventure 2, but that's not always a guarantee that they're going to put actual game music in the movie. Jeff Fowler, the director, was even quoted saying if he didn't include it in the movie, he knew fans would hunt him down. That's funny, but also, that's silly. We wouldn't do that. Would we? But best not to try it. If you know me or have been to the channel, you probably know that Sonic Adventure 2 is not only my favorite Sonic game, but my favorite video game of all time. And while Live and Learn has the most sentimental value to me, and the one I have the biggest emotional connection to, there's still one more song that I kinda think tops it. That's right, the #1 Supersonic song on this list comes from my least favorite Sonic game from the Adventure era.
We'll show that creep the real superpower of teamwork!
Oh, that was lame.
What I'm made of is high energy on all fronts. Instruments, vocals, lyrics, some fourth thing, all of it. Unlike the other two games in the Adventure era, this song was specifically for the final boss. While Open Your Heart and Live and Learn felt like it had almost like a build-up, since you would always hear it when starting the game, going through the menus, and then finally hearing the full version during the final boss, What I'm Made Of had its own way of feeling special, because it only played during that final boss. So it's almost getting like a secret song with the secret final boss. It also just had a speed and intense feeling that was different from the other two. And while Live and Learn and Open Your Heart felt like they went with the themes of the games they were in, this song feels like it was just specifically made for a high-speed, intense fight. I'd also say that this has some of the best performances I've ever heard from Johnny. So while I definitely have a much deeper connection with Live and Learn, I think What I'm Made Of deserves the top spot. But that doesn't mean I won't change my mind again later. Did you agree with my list? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time on The Z-Man Show.